Hi, Lydia here. The artifact in my World Arts treasure box, which I chose to do my Humanities Project on, is an old pocket watch. After a bit of brainstorming of a similar device used during the Middle Ages, I came up with an hourglass. So this is a letter written by a girl named Louisa Ann, who was living through and coping with the Black Plague. I also tried to incorporate this idea of time running out, which is symbolized through the hourglass, because, well, I don't want to give away the story, so I guess you're just going to have to listen to find out. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. Dearest Mary, I hope this letter finds you in good health. As you recall, it has been 4 months since my family fled the streets of London, running for our lives. Father tells me that fled is not the proper word to describe our sudden vacation to the summer cottage, but I believe we all know the truth. We ran, and now we have gone into hiding from death. Sadly, it seems that no matter where we run to, we can never truly escape our fate, for my mother has recently fallen ill. She is locked away in a room in a separate part of the house, all alone, fighting for her miserable life. The doctor visits twice a day, to assist with the bloodletting. I refuse to watch any longer, because I can't stand to see her so weak. The doctor says that her weakness is normal, and she will be weak before she is strong again. Still, I will not have it. Every so often, I sneak into her room and watch her drift in and out of a fitful sleep. Beads of sweat drip down her ghastly pale face. Her glossy chestnut hair is matted and sticks up in every direction. There are dark purple circles under her eyes, and her once soft skin is etched with wrinkles. Her nearly colorless skin is tightly stretched over her body, and I can see her ribs. I would think she were dead, if it wasn't for the faint rise and fall of her chest, along with the sound of her shallow breathing. It amazes me how much this disease has stolen from this once beautiful woman of noble birth. The minister is also present in my house. He blesses my mother and leads prayers for her health. He says this plague, this Black Death, is God's way of purifying the earth. But my mother is a good Christian. Why does she need purification? Why does my mother need to die? Night turns to day, and day turns to night. Time drags on in continuous circles. I miss you terribly, and my mother's absence doesn't help my mood. All I have to keep me company is this hourglass. I watch as each grain of sand flows downward, and I am reminded of my mother. Each grain is like a breath, maybe her last. Each grain is a second, minute, hour, day, week of her life that slowly slips away from her, leaving her one step closer to her final destination. I am wandering through an endless desert wasteland. My gaze drifts lazily over the landscape, searching. For what? I'm not quite sure. Suddenly, I see a black-veiled figure walking towards the horizon. The veiled figure is my mother. I'm not sure how I know this, but I accept that the person is her. Her image fades for a second, then reappears, blinking as if she were a beacon. I try calling after her, begging her to stay, but she cannot, or will not hear me. I begin to run, but the sand under my feet makes me sluggish. Just before I can reach her, the wind picks up. My eyes start to sting, and I am forced to shield my face. The gust strengthens, and my body begins to betray me. I am slowly pushed further away from my mother. Sand begins to slither up my body like a hungry serpent, and coils around my legs. I am engulfed in a sea of sand. I have no sense of time or space. There is no present, past, or future, just sand. I stare with horrid fascination as my leg is followed by my torso sink further and further. I close my eyes and release a silent scream as my head goes under. I open my eyes again, only to be blinded by a bright light. Once my eyes have adjusted, I realize that I'm in my room, never having left in the first place. Every time I sleep, this nightmare finds me. However, I can't help but wonder if my current reality is also a nightmare, that one day I might just wake up and be somewhere else, someplace much better than this, in a world without the pains of death. I once again spy the hourglass perched on my desk, next to this unfinished letter. I grasp the hourglass gingerly, weighing it in my hand. I wind up and let the hourglass fly. It smashes into the wall with the satisfying sound of breaking glass, and tumbles to the floor. I smile sadistically as the sand seeps out of a jagged hole, which looks like the gaping mouth of a ferocious beast, a beast which I have beaten. I can't remember the last time I saw someone smile, let alone laugh. Every time someone sneezes or coughs, we all hold our breaths, not wanting to breathe in the unclean air. We all want the sands of our hourglasses to keep flowing. All the happiness in our world has been drained and replaced by death. That is death's power, you see. He takes all things beautiful and steals her soul, leaving only a shell of whom they once were behind. Beauty is transformed into sorrow and fear right before our eyes, and we are forced to sit back and watch as it happens. Again, I hope you and your family are well, and I pray that you will never have to know the pains and fear of death. Because, after all, we can never and never will be able to outrun the Black Death. With love,